Okay, we all good? Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Benjamin Tucker, First Deputy Commissioner. I'm joined at the podium by Chief of Operations Harry Whedon, Assistant Chief Steve Hughes, Commanding Officer, Patrol Bureau, Manhattan South, Captain Edwards, Commanding Officer of the 17th Precinct, and Kevin O'Hanlon, Deputy Chief of Security for the United Nations. As well, beyond the folks joining me up here, I want to acknowledge the entire response team who helped bring this incident to a peaceful conclusion. From the initial police officers on scene to the emergency services unit, our hostage negotiators, the strategic response group, and the incredible detectives who immediately went to work on this investigation, and our partners at the fire department and EMS. I also want to acknowledge the excellent collaboration we had with Mr. O'Hanlon and his team at the United Nations. At approximately 10:40 a.m. this morning, patrol officers from the 17th Precinct responded to a 911 call for a man with a gun outside the United Nations. The call was made from within the UN. Once on scene, the officers observed a male wearing a red jacket, blue jeans, white hair, holding what appeared to be a shotgun directly under his chin. The man also had a bag with him. The officers immediately secured a safe perimeter, while additional resources responded to the scene. The emergency services unit made initial contact with the individual, and I want to bring Chief Whedon to share his situation, share how the situation developed from there. Harry?
Thanks, Commissioner. Upon arrival, emergency service unit's officers secured the block, clearing the area of civilians. Using ballistic cover, ESU officers approached the individual, attempted to isolate and contain him, while also beginning a dialogue. One of our ESU officers, Police Officer Matthew Labrizzi, did a great job. He began the dialogue with the individual and continued the conversation throughout the entire incident. Based on statements he made, we knew early on that this did not appear to be terror-related. He had some papers he wanted delivered to the UN. The dialogue went back and forth about how we might be able to accommodate his request and bring the incident to a peaceful conclusion. Ultimately, members of the emergency service unit took possession of the papers and were able to deliver them to the UN. As a result, the individual put down his shotgun and was taken into custody without incident at approximately 1:40 p.m. He was transported to an area hospital for evaluation. I want to commend all of the officers involved who put themselves in harm's way, who relied on their training, and got the job done without anyone getting hurt. The officers of the emergency service unit trained for these exact situations, and I'm extremely proud of how they conducted themselves during this situation. I want to turn it back to Commissioner Tucker at this point.
Thanks, Harry. So now let me update you on where we are with the investigation. The Detective Bureau got to work right away on this incident, as I mentioned. We're not going to identify the individual at this time, but I will say that he does not have a criminal record or criminal history, neither here in New York nor elsewhere around the country. I will say that he is originally from Florida.
Florida?
Florida. And in tracing his route to the UN, investigators determined he walked from a hotel on 44th Street, which he checked into yesterday. Detectives also learned there was a pickup truck connected to the individual parked outside the hotel. I want to assure everyone that the bomb squad has swept the hotel, has swept his hotel room, and the truck. And there are no outstanding threats connected to any of those items at this time. The investigation remains active and ongoing by the detectives, and charges are still pending. And just as I end here, and we take questions, I want to just say that when it comes to the way this situation was handled, it makes me proud. You know, these events unfold, and they can go in very different directions at any given time. But the officers who responded that I recognized a moment ago, our fire department was on hand, the EMS. The idea here and our hostage negotiators is to work together and to bring this to the kind of conclusion that we actually were able to get. And so, job well done to the members on scene, and Harry and your people. Questions?
What's the name of the hotel, number one? Number two, what was the conversation? What was his issue with the UN? What was included in the papers? What were his concerns and his issues that brought him here?
Well, it was the Millennium Hotel, and we can, Harry, maybe can talk a little bit about some of the issues. I think why here at the UN, I think it was an opportunity for him to get the attention he needed, and it worked. Okay. The paperwork there were a number of documents. They didn't have any specific meaning that was related to anything related to terrorism, but they were medical papers and some other documents. Nothing that told a story. There was no written note from him, so nothing in that regard.
Was the gun loaded that he had?
Harry?
Yes, the gun was loaded.
And what kind of weapon?
The weapon was a shotgun, and it had one round in the shotgun. One shell was in there.
How long had he been here in New York?
Well, he was checked into the hotel yesterday, so as far as we can tell, he arrived here yesterday. From Florida, we believe.
Does the suspect have any mental issue?
I'm sorry?
Does the suspect has any mental issue? Was he an EDP?
Oh, well, we expect, I would suggest that it's fair to say that he had some issues, and so we sent him to the hospital for observation.
So he didn't want the UN to do anything specific. He wasn't trying to.
Essentially, he wanted the UN to receive his documents, which is ultimately what we agreed to do, was provide those documents to the UN, and he said if we could do that, he would put the gun down and end it, which is exactly what happened.
But what were the medical documents? Is he sick? Is somebody in his family sick? Is he trying to save people in another country? Like, what was his issue?
Well, we're looking into some of the names and some of the notations in those notes, so we can get some of those answers. We don't have those answers right now. Our detectives are following up, and that's part of the ongoing investigation.
Well, Commissioner, would you say it's difficult to decipher exactly what his focus was here?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I think it's fair to say that we don't really know. You can't tell that from the documents.
And Chief, do you have the make or model of the shotgun? And was it? You said one round. Was it buckshot? Was it birdshot? Was it a slug?
It appeared to be a buckshot that was in there. The make and model I don't have, but we can get that to you later on, though.
Chief, the officer who spoke to him, was he chosen for a particular reason? And how did he find common ground with the suspect?
He's a member of our emergency service unit. Everyone in our emergency service unit is trained in hostage negotiation. We're initially, quite routinely, the first people on a job of this nature where they'll start the negotiations off. They'll be taken over by someone from HNT sometimes later on in the job. With this job, he says a good report with the mail that he kept doing it the whole time.
How did he get that report? What were they talking about other than what was going on?
Just kept telling them, we're here to help you, tell us your concerns, we'll try and get your concerns addressed. They kept talking along that vein of conversation with them, and it worked.
At what point did that conversation start? Did it start right at the beginning of the standoff, or did it come within? I saw the Rook vehicle come in and get a little closer, so I'm wondering if one of those officers was the person that began to...
No, the officer that had the conversation was the first responding officer from the emergency service unit that was on the scene.
Was the man babbling when he was walking and talking to the
He just kept talking that he wanted his documents looked at by someone in the UN, and if we got the documents looked at, he would surrender.
What kind of time did you guys talk? 2 hours, 3 hours?
It was at least 2 hours, at least.
One more question. Did he say he was going to kill himself if he taken more?
He never stated that, but he had the shotgun under his chin at the whole
Did he
time.
threaten police officers?
No, he never pointed it towards us.
One more right here.
Is he arrested? Are there any charges against him?
Charges are pending.
Okay, folks, that's all we have right now. Thank you very much.
What hospital?
very
Is
much.
he in Bellevue?
We're not going to get Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Nice.
Remember the rule.
You will.
All right.
Very nice.